The last few days I've been looking up tags that booktubers have been doing, and I actually found one I really like. It is the book cover tag. So I thought I would do that today as a way to kind of buy myself time before my next book review so I can actually finish the books that I'm reading. And no sooner do I start making my video, I find out we are about to have company, so I needed to go change. The first question in the tag is, what are your top 6 book covers? Todd Stone's Novelist Boot Camp. It's a very textured book. The second book I have is A Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. I bought this from a used bookstore. It probably had a jacket that went with it, but I kind of like this whole two-color feel to it on the front and the back with like the silver writing on the side. And the pages are kind of yellowing because this version's a bit old. It feels almost like it's a journal. The next cover that I really like is from my The Sun Also Rises book by Ernest Hemingway. At first when you look at it, it's like golden water, but then when you look at it closer, you can see kind of like the outlines of figures who are moving so fast that they've actually become blurred. It's so reflective of the book inside, and it's so easy to get like taken in by the picture and like thinking it's just like this beautiful golden water, and then you realize that it's people who are just moving so fast that they can't be seen being still. The next book is Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. It's also really shiny. Yeah. At the same time, it's like bright and shiny and like you can see like the lights and stuff. It's not really overpowering. I guess it's typography, the text on the cover really isn't like wild and funky. The next book is Resenting the Hero by Maura J. Moore. I really like this cover. I actually picked it up. I found this book in a used bookstore and picked it up because the cover was so funny. The last book I have to show you on my Nook because it's on my Nook, and I have to use the internet because when you open up the book, you don't actually get to see the cover page. But it is the movie edition of The Princess Bride. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, movie edition covers, the horror, the horror. I don't really have a problem with movie covers, especially not this one because I grew up watching The Princess Bride on VHS every weekend, every other weekend. So these are what I imagine the characters to look like. That's not going to change. And The Princess Bride was always kind of like this corny little love story. So the fact that they're kind of posed and stuff, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's The Princess Bride. Come on. The next question is, how do I feel about morphed covers? Which, prior to watching the videos and kind of looking into this tag a little, I had no clue what they were. But apparently morphed covers are when books in a series don't actually match each other. And I actually do have some of those, so I will go show you those. So one of the books I showed you that has one of my favorite covers is the Resenting the Hero cover. The third book in the series, from the third book in the series onwards, they changed the type on the book. It went from like this kind of like comical one to this very fancy one. So like you can see that they went, where the titles were located changed, how the titles were written changed, and they also went from like comical pictures to much more realistic looking pictures. I don't really have a problem with this. Their spines would look like this on a shelf. Like, I know that it's the same person, it doesn't really bother me. But a much more extreme example I have is the Artemis Fowl series. This is the second one, the Arctic Incident. And as you can see, it's a very plain cover. It's like a steel door with ice, and it's the title, it's the series, the title, and the author, and that's all that's on this cover. Then this is the 7th book in the Artemis Fowl series. You have like where it says New York Times bestselling author, then you have like this huge gold shiny AF, and then it says Artemis Fowl appear in the Atlantis complex. I got this book from a used bookstore. I bought this new from Barnes & Noble. My first Artemis Fowl book, my 6th, the 7th, and the 8th are all hardcover, and then my 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I'm looking at my shelf right now, are all softcover. And I know that would bug the hell out of some people, but as long as like they fit on my shelf, I don't really have a problem with the morphed books. The next question is, how important are book covers? For me, it kind of like depends on the situation. Like, if I go to a bookstore and I'm gonna say I get the Hunger Games because everyone's telling me to get the Hunger Games. I'm not really gonna care what kind of cover it has because everyone's telling me to get this book. Whereas like if I'm going to use bookstore and I'm just kind of like browsing, the cover tends to become very important because I don't have anyone telling me, I don't have like recommendations from anyone saying, hey, get this book. So rather than my first impression being someone's opinion on the book, my first impression then becomes what I see of the book. Like Resenting the Hero, I picked up entirely because the cover made me laugh. Whereas if a book is in a used bookstore and it has a really terrible looking cover, I'm not going to bother picking it up because there are literally hundreds of other books I can choose from. If I'm in Barnes & Noble where everything is kind of sorted by genre, I'm more inclined to like just pull a book off the shelf, read the back of it, put it on the shelf, read the book or read the back of the book, put it on the shelf until I get whatever my budget is. That's how I shop in a bookstore. Just stand there reading the backs of the books. If there is no blurb of what the book is about, put it back on the shelf. The next question is, what kind of book covers draw you? And I tend to be drawn to very bright covers. Like, this isn't necessarily bright, but it's really shiny. You'll kind of notice the glimmer of the spine. This is a very like light color. If you pull it out, it has like some bright colors. I like books, and I know a lot of people don't like this, but I like books with people on the cover, not like actual people. Having a spine with, well, this is victim of used bookstore. Having a spine with like bright letters tends to be, or a bright title also tends to draw me in, because a lot of times you're not going to see a book like this on a bookcase, you're going to see it like this. The next question is, what are some of my pet peeves about book covers? One of my biggest pet peeves is like half people. So it's like, hi, it's a hand, or it's a foot, or it's part of a face. That just really bothers me. It's like, put the whole person on. Seriously. I know a lot of people don't like people on their books, but I actually really like people on my books to have like the pattern designs, and those just annoy me. It's like, I know nothing. I gauge a lot of what I think the book might be about from the cover. If there's a person standing next to a dragon with a sword in their hand, I'm going to assume at some point that person is going to have faced a dragon in the story, which is going to instantly make me like the book more. Whereas if there's like an X pattern with like little hearts, I'm not going to be able to gauge much. It could be a romance story. Then again, it could be Alice in Wonderland. Like, I definitely like pictures and like scenes on my books as the cover. So when there's no like scene, I get really annoyed. I know a lot of other people's pet peeves are movie editions of books, and I actually kind of like the movie editions of books. Also, a pet peeve I have about book covers are like half naked people, so like guys without a shirt or women whose clothes is falling off. The last question is, do you prefer long or short descriptions or blurbs about the book? I think I tend to prefer shorter descriptions, but I'm not opposed to like longer ones. I, like most people, hate it when there's actually no description of the book on the back, because then I have to judge it entirely by the cover, and as amusing as that can be sometimes, I like having like a general idea of what I'm getting into. So until next time, TTYL. Just keep changing that up, don't I?